Hey guys, I'm Phaedra from All Things Phaedra, and today, although it doesn't look like it, I'm talking about driving. Not my driving. I mean, as you all know, I'm a pro driver. I've been doing it the better part of 3 decades, actually 3 decades plus. I've been driving a long time, and in fact, when I learned to drive, very different than how kids learn to drive today. I do officially have a teen driver in the family, and I have asked him, and he's reluctantly agreed to appear on camera and talk a little bit about how he feels about driving. And then I'm going to give him a lesson in driving that he might not otherwise be able to have. So some of you that have watched some of my videos before maybe remember my son Evan. He's been on my channel since he was 3 years old. And now he's a reluctant participant. Thank you. I want to thank you, Evan, for being here.
Of course.
So you got your learner's permit, which was just a written test. What did you think of the test?
It was ridiculously easy.
Ridiculously easy. You have had a few experiences behind the wheel before you had your learner's permit, but now you're officially on the roads. And how does it feel?
It feels way different from before. It feels
from like driving in a parking lot.
Yeah, it's much more intense, much more interesting, I think, though.
Okay. And what are some of the things that sort of like make you the most nervous on the road?
I think just not knowing about what to do during certain traffic situations.
Okay.
So having that factor of unknown there is kind of scary on the road.
Okay. And I feel like when you like first got behind the wheel, when other cars were coming, that's what made you initially really nervous. Like, oh my gosh, I'm on the road with like another vehicle that.
Right, because it was just that separation of.
Yes.
Or understanding of the fact that we're just separated by some paint is scary.
Well, you're not really separated by paint. You're separated by people adhering to the paint itself. What types of driving experiences would you say, whether you've experienced it or you've yet to experience it, are making you the most nervous right now?
I think definitely the idea of going on a highway is nerve-wracking, and I think honestly just driving on roads I haven't been on before is still pretty scary.
So it's really just a lot of fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts on distracted driving, because when we first got in the car, you mentioned something about texting and driving.
Yeah, I just don't understand how anybody could be even slightly impaired or distracted and manage to be driving on the road.
So I just want to say that I think what happens is when you first learn to drive, you're very like hyper aware. And so you can't even imagine any distractions at all. And what happens is people get complacent because they get really used to driving and feel they have the ability to do these other things. You're not of drinking age yet, but this is the problem with drinking and driving is we don't teach people what it's like to drink and drive without actually drinking and driving. So I'm going to talk about the Ford Impairment Suit, what that can do for you, not just as a teen driver, but for any driver to experience what that's like and maybe give them better judgment when it comes to driving. So now that you've heard an almost 16-year-old's take on driving, a teenage boy even, the ones that are the highest to insure because they like to drive crazy and fast, well, let's talk about just a few kind of anecdotal tips that I have for teen drivers. The first one is, not very obvious, don't put that sticker or magnet on the car that says, caution, new driver, teen driver, student driver. Don't do that. You want to know why? Because that's a magnet for the driving jerks of the world. You know who you are. You might even be watching this. You say, oh, I'm going to scare this driver, or I'm going to really put them to the test. That's why we don't want those on the car. Just leave them off. The other thing you can do is use an app. There's one that we're using called Road Ready, which helps your teen driver log their driving hours. And it will actually track if it's nighttime driving, daytime driving, long distance driving, all of the things that they need for their driving log when they go to get their license. Now this one, if you had asked me 2 years ago what I would have said about this, it would not have been this, but my next piece of advice is let them drive your nice cars. Yes, your nicer cars, your newer cars. And that's going to lead me into my next tip, which is if you are in a position to help your kid get a car, they want a car or you want them to have a car, and you're in a position to help them, do your best to find newer cars. All right? So why am I saying this? Why are you going to let your baby behind the wheel of your other baby? Well, I'll tell you why. Because these newer vehicles have so many more safety features. Not just safety features in terms of driving with collision avoidance detection or lane keep assist, things that are really good at helping new drivers stay on the road and stay safe on the road. But they also have newer airbags. So if they do get into a wreck, they're going to be protected. And after all, they're more important than your car. The last thing, and probably the most important thing, is to educate them about distracted driving and impaired driving. Now, distracted driving, they can probably pick up what they shouldn't do on their own. The other thing is impaired driving. So many states these days are legalizing substances that will actually impact your driving, alcohol being the big one. So how can we impress upon them the dangers of impaired driving, especially when at 15 years old, my son's never had a drop to drink? How does he know how it's going to impact him when he's never actually been impaired? Well, this is where Ford comes in. Ford created a program for teens called Ford Driving Skills for Life. It's been around for a long time, probably a decade or more, and it travels around the country. And one of the things that they have in this program is something called an impairment suit. So before we take things outside and put our impairment to the test, you're not coming, by the way. I want to show you what this impairment suit is all about. Ford actually calls it a drunk driving suit. And it doesn't take much, honestly, to simulate how your senses are affected when you've been drinking. So it comes with elbow pads and some knee pads. Now, these are designed to restrict your movement. It also comes with what it calls a neck bandage. This is going to go around your neck. And again, this is to kind of just restrict your neck movement. We've got a wrist weight and we've got a rather heavy ankle weight. And the idea behind the weights is that it will affect your balance, especially if you wear them on opposite limbs. We have two types of goggles. I'm not really sure the difference, but they definitely impact your vision. This one I'd say is more like, oh, I've had a few too many drinks. And these are more like, oh my God, girl, get to bed somewhere. In addition to that, your hearing is impacted. So we've got some earmuffs that we're going to put on just to make it a little bit harder to hear, a little bit harder to see, a little bit harder to move. Okay, let's go outside. So here we are at the local high school. My husband was kind enough to lend me his Ford for this experience. And the first thing I'm going to do, Evan, come on over here. Evan is impaired right now. And we are going to test that by administering the most common sobriety tests that are used in Maryland. We're going to try one which is called the walk and turn. So Evan, why don't you come over here with me? I want you to go to the intersection of these white lines. Okay, turn and face me. All right, this is looking good. All right, now, this is an actual test that cops administer, the police administer. So I want you to walk a straight line, but the way I want you to do it is to take 9 heel-to-toe steps forward on that line, pivot, and then take 9 steps back. At all times, you keep your arms to the side, watch your feet, and count the steps out loud. So heel to toe when you're walking.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All right, what do you guys think? I think I would haul him in. All right, I'm escorting Evan back for the third test, which is the one-leg stand test. What I want you to do is stand together. I want you to place one foot in front of you and hold it about 6 inches off the ground for about 30 seconds. All right, son, I'm afraid I'm going to have to haul you in for that. Now I'm going to ask Evan a few questions. You can't even walk a straight line. How would you feel getting behind the wheel of a vehicle?
Extremely uncomfortable.
And how do you feel knowing that there are people every day that do this?
Also extremely uncomfortable.
Knowing that these people are on the road with you.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. All right, should I give it a try?
Yeah.
I am all suited up. It's time for a self-administered sobriety test. I don't feel good about this. All right, so arms at my side. Oh my God, I can't even find the line. Here we go. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, pivot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did I pass? Next one is, the balance test. So stand with my foot 6 inches above the ground. And, whoa, let me try the other foot. All right, that's a little easier, but with this weighted foot, I wouldn't pass that one either. That's really tough. Now, because I'm a pro driver, I'm gonna actually attempt to drive in this state. Let's see how that goes. I'm gonna drive slow and carefully. Let's see how I do. Okay, I am definitely getting some double vision here. And the balance is throwing things off for me. I'm gonna attempt to park the car. Okay, that's not, whoa, and my braking's a little off. Let me try, oh boy. I feel like I have the spins now. We drive in a circle. I do see the concrete pillar. Oh, but yeah, this definitely delays my vision. And I'm gonna try, no, I'm not, you know what? I don't even feel comfortable going around a curb. I only feel comfortable in the open part of the parking lot. And yeah, as someone who has been impaired in their life before, I can tell you that this is a good and a bit uncomfortable simulation. So now that we're all done, back inside the house, nice and warm, what did we learn from today? Well, as you heard from Evan directly, he can't even imagine getting behind the wheel in a state like that. And I'm glad to hear him say that, because every day, 32 people die from alcohol-related accidents. That is one every 45 minutes. 30% of all traffic accidents involve a drunk driver. Statistically speaking, more young drivers die from alcohol-related crashes than they do from distracted driving crashes. And there have also been studies done that show that alcohol impairs reflexes and judgment at a higher rate in younger drivers than older. So with all of that said, how can we protect our teens on the road? Well, we can talk to them, we can share our honest experiences, and hope that they take that with them when they get on the road. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions or advice about teens driving, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And also a special thanks to Ford. Thank you for providing me that impairment suit. That was a really cool opportunity to be able to try with my family and really be able to, experience impairment without the actual, impairment. I'll see you guys next time.